There, everybody, and welcome to the Simplified Spending Plan workshop. That's code word for budgeting because that tends to be a word that people don't really care for. So I just say Simplified Spending Plan. We're going to call it a spending plan. Basically, this is a budget, but it keeps people from being quite so on edge about things. So I believe I've got my screen sharing correctly. Let me double check. I think so. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and get started. So today, like I said, we're talking about a simplified spending plan. I am Lauren Guest, and I am a wife. I have 2 kids and another on the way. I'm a financial unity coach. That's why I'm here talking about finances. And I'm also a handmade business owner with my husband, as well as a cattlewoman. So lots of hats that I wear here. The reason all of this is important to you is because you will know that I need to know what's going on with our finances because there's lots of things going on in our life. So that's why that's all important. So our outline for today is we're going to talk about what is a budget, why is it important? We're going to talk about some struggles and the truths to help you get through those, the different types of budgets, how to actually budget, the 3 pies. We'll have some Q&A. We'll have an announcement. So stick with me through this. It's going to be quite the ride. Okay, so defining a budget. What actually is a budget? So right here, I say it's the layout of expected income versus expenses. Sounds pretty simple, and it is simple, but sometimes it's a little bit harder to actually put into practice. So that's what we're going to talk about today. If you have ever said my money just disappears, or I don't know where my money's going, or I make enough money and I just don't know where it's going. Like things aren't working the way that they need to. I make enough money, but there's none at the end of the month. There's none at the end of the paycheck. That is because you're not telling your money what to do using a budget. What a budget is it's not an accounting. Like there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, I budget. And all they do every month is just go through and basically just categorize all of their expenses, and they don't try to make any changes going forward. A budget is where you make those changes, you set those goals, you try to actually have control over your money. I have been guilty of that. I have been guilty of, at the end of the month, we're going to go through and categorize everything, and I'm going to say I'm budgeting. No, that's not budgeting. All that is doing is accounting. So there's a difference in here. So a budget is telling your money what to do. Your expected income, your expected expenses. Why is it important? Why is this important? First of all, to reach goals. Reaching goals is a huge driver behind budgeting. So if you have a goal that you're wanting to buy a house, or you're wanting to build up your savings, or you're wanting to maybe save for vacation, whatever it is, reaching those goals, you've got to have a budget in place to know how to make this work. Okay, we're going to take a little bit away from here to put over here, or we need to make a little more. So we're going to have a side hustle or whatever that is. That is a huge function of a budget, is to reach your goals. The second part is a form of communication. So this is a way that I really like to deal with budgets, because it's a form of communication between a husband and a wife. This budget is a way for us to discuss things in a way without actually discussing things. Like we're going to talk about the numbers, and we're going to really see in black and white what's going on here. This is a big thing because the account balance, like my husband used to do this all the time. He would look at the account balance at the bank, and he'd be like, we have this money. Why are you telling me we don't have this money? Because that's not the real balance. There's outstanding checks. We've got to pay the mortgage in a couple days. There is things that you can't see in the bank account yet, that are actually going on. And so that's where a budget comes in. Yes, okay, there's this money here, but it's already allocated to different places. So this is a way that you can communicate with your spouse, and so they know what's going on. They know it's a form of accountability that happens between a husband and a wife. Another important reason is reaching new levels. So a budget will help you reach new levels personally, relationally, spiritually. All these things are so important because they don't just happen on their own. So how I see this is personally, you get to grow. You get to grow because you realize, okay, this is a weak spot for me, and I am going to try to be better in this way. Or maybe this is a strength of mine. This is a personal growth. This is a strength of mine, and I want to take that to another level. So that's what you can use a budget personally. Relationally, it takes you to new levels because you can talk to your spouse. This is a way for me to show you, like, this builds trust. This builds our relationship together. These budgets do. And then spiritually, guys, I don't know even how to fully explain how a budget, or, really getting intentional about our finances, has grown us spiritually. When we're paying attention to what's going on in our finances, we get to actually see when God's doing work. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. Another important reason is for planning. So you get to see the foresight. You get to be proactive instead of reactive. That's a huge problem in finances. A lot of times people are very reactive in their finances. That's why we end up in such a mess, because we're not thinking about things ahead of time. And then the last reason right there is knowledge. So consciously budgeting will give you a deeper understanding of yourself, your family, and your surroundings when you do it correctly. That's why we're here talking about this today. And all of this boils down to, for me as a Christian and for you as well, this boils down to stewardship. That's why budgeting is important, is there's that stewardship factor. So I'm going to read a scripture from 1 Corinthians 10, 23 through 24, and then I'll jump down a little ways too. All things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. Let no one seek his own good, but the good of his neighbor. And then jump down here to 31. So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. Give no offense to Jews or to Greeks or to the church or to the church of God. Just as I try to please everyone in everything I do, not seeking my own advantage, but that of many, that they may be saved. Be imitators of me as I am of Christ. This, to me, is a huge example for us, not only in our finances, but everything we do. But since we're talking about finances today, this is how I'm going to apply this. Sure. So up here at the top, all things are lawful, but not all things are helpful. All things are lawful, but not all things build up. This is such a big thing when it's coming to budgeting, when it's coming to our finances, because yes, we can go do all these things. Yeah, sure. There's money there. Go do it. Yeah, it's okay. It's lawful. It's fine. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be helpful or that it's going to build you up and build up you personally, relationally, spiritually. That's where I see this budgeting as a spiritual act, an act of intentionality, this stewardship that's going on. Whatever you do, whether it's eating or drinking, whatever it is, do all to the glory of God. If you are just willy-nilly on your finances, that's not doing anything to the glory of God. That's not moving forward in the glory of God. That is just being of the world. That is just doing whatever you want to. And so that's why I see this budgeting is important. And it doesn't have to be this difficult thing. And that's why we're going to talk about next is, okay, why is it so difficult? Why is budgeting so difficult? There's a few different reasons here. Lack of knowledge. That's why you're here. You're here because you lack the knowledge and you want to gain the knowledge of the nuts and bolts of financing. Or finances. That is one of the biggest reasons is people don't have the knowledge. So that's why it's difficult. Okay, well, that's why you're here. And that's why I want to help you. Another reason is lack of accountability. We start and we don't actually finish. We don't actually stick with it to see the results in the long run. Grab a friend. Grab a timer, even if it's just a timer, like a notification in your phone, even if that's what it is that keeps you accountable. Like put it as a date in your calendar, just like anything else that's important in your life. And if those things don't work, get a coach. Guys, I have a coach for my business that helps push me forward, that helps hold me accountable for what I want to do and the glory that I want to bring to God and the good of others. So having those things to help you out. If you lack the confidence, that is a huge difficult reason. There's a lack of confidence. No one starts off good at this. This is a learned skill, and it takes imperfect practice and some patience with yourself and your family. This lack of confidence, don't let that stop you. As you start applying these things, as you start going forward, you're going to build that confidence to go and do greater things. The last one right here, why is it so difficult? This is a huge one that I see, and it is definitely a passion of mine, the friction with your spouse. If this is something that is holding you back from budgeting or being intentional with your finances, please talk to me. Send me a message. Get in my group, Wives of Worth. Get in contact with me, please. Facebook, Instagram, wherever. And we need to talk, because if friction with your spouse is a reason that you're not moving forward, there is hope. There is hope. And please, please, please believe me when I say that. The problem that you're having is there is a baby step 0. There is, everything starts at baby step 1. Everybody says, okay, these are the steps to getting somewhere in your finances. And you're sitting here going, I can't bring that to my husband. I don't know how to go forward. This is where I want to talk to you. There's a baby step 0. You are a unique and definitely you have a unique relationship, and we can move forward with that. All that being said, in Hebrews 12:11, it says, now all discipline seems to be painful at the time, yet later it will produce a transformation of character, bringing a harvest of righteousness and peace to those who yield to it. This is so important. This budgeting, it's difficult. It's hard to get started. It's a habit that's hard to form. And I understand that. And there are several different options to go forward. So that's what we're going to talk about. Next is the types of budgets. There are several different options here. So we'll go through them quickly. There's a pen and paper. This is, you get a legal pad, or you get, there's different budgeting like notebooks and stuff that you can have. There's several different options when it comes to pen and paper. It's simple, but it's not outdated. Yes, we live in a technical world, and I get that. But at the same time, if that's what works for you, if that's what works for your spouse, use it. There are spreadsheets. This is, I'm thinking like your Google Sheets, your Excel, whatever it is, a spreadsheet. You can buy spreadsheets, so you can have them free. As far as like Google Sheets, that's free. Or I have actually a friend that has created an amazing spreadsheet when it comes to your finances, and it's fairly cheap. This is an easy way to communicate with your spouse, so they can see kind of what's going on, especially if they're like a geek about spreadsheets and numbers and stuff. This is a cool thing to be doing. Applications, apps on your phone. These are usually subscription based. They're not really expensive, but they are usually do cost something. So there's some that are free. There's Mint, there's YNAB, there's a few other ones too. Oh, Every Dollar. There's several different ones. These are more complex. They are really fun. If apps are something that are interesting to you, try that one. A cash budget system. This is impossible to overspend. So when you're doing a cash budget, these things are, if overspending is a weakness of yours in some areas, then this cash budget is definitely the way to help you there. This is one that I don't see people talk about much. We use it quite a bit. The intentionality, the intentional spending. This is more of a free-spirited, and it's really hard to track. It's difficult to track. I'm going to warn you here that you can't just say that you're doing it and have no idea what's actually going on. You have to actually know the numbers and what's going on. It's a little more difficult to put into practice. We use this a lot because ours, see, this last option is a combination. Mix and match what works for you. And that's exactly what we do. We have a spiritual combination, a faith-filled budget. I know a lot of people talk about faith-filled finances, faith-filled budgeting. And I'm here to tell you that it's pretty difficult to track. Here's the reason why. This is our story in a little nutshell. We went full-time self-employed, and it has been a ride of faith, and we don't always know. Actually, we never know. This is what's kind of scary. We never know what our expected income is. We know what we have to bring in, but we don't know exactly how that'll always be done. And there's some months that are better than others. And so when those come up, then we have to account for, we don't know what's coming next month. And so there's a lot of intentional spending, intentionality, budgeting that goes on. I know what's there, and we discuss it. Hayden and I discuss things a lot. We have to now, because there isn't a steady paycheck. We do not have a steady income at all. If that's you, you're going to be okay. There are different things that you can do, and I would love to discuss it with you further. If this is something that is a part of your life, if this is a reality that you live, then I would love to discuss more of that with you. We're going to go back to the nuts and bolts because that doesn't apply to everyone. I'm going to give you permission today. Try each one of these for 2 to 3 months. Mess them up and start them over. If you try each one of these and try a combination of these, do it weekly, do it bi-weekly, try it monthly. Just trying these things over and over. You can't say a budget doesn't work for you if you haven't given every single method a chance to work. If you try each one of these 6 different types of budgeting for 2 to 3 months, you have 3 or 4 years worth of trial and error right here. And every season of your life is going to have new requirements. And so give yourself that permission. I'm giving you that permission to try new things, to mess them up. It's okay. And the grace to go forward. So a big question that I get a lot is, okay, well, how much am I supposed to be spending in places? Well, obviously that depends on your income. It depends on your season of life. We'll talk some of that here. So I look at these in pies. I'm going to get a drink. I like to look at these. I like to look at our percentages in pies. This is the basic pie. You have your tithe, you have your housing, your bills. This is like your electricity, your water, your natural gas, those bills. Maybe your internet, like I have to have my internet to work. So that's a bill for us. You have your insurance. Your insurance part should include health, homeowners, life, disability, identity theft. If you have anything other than that, please talk to me, because we need to look and see if that insurance is actually something that you need to be spending money on. Then you have your food and your transportation. And this transportation, this isn't including like a vehicle payment. This is your fuel, your tires, your oil, maybe your transportation fares if you live in a city. This is a basic pie. You notice there is nothing extra on here. There is no debt payoff. There is no eating out. There's nothing else on here. This is a basic pie. This is when your income is all being used towards living, basically. The next pie we have here is your comfort pie. You notice your tithe is the same 10%. To me, this is a very important part of our finances, because I have seen how it actually works out in our lives, and I will not go without it. I'm not going to give a tithe sermon here by any means, but when we started to actually tithe, we saw God do amazing things in our finances and continue to do so. So that is why every single one of these pies includes the 10% for our tithe. You're going to notice here that all the other percentages went down. Your housing, your insurance, your bills, your food, your transportation, that percentage all went down because your income is higher. You have more income here. Then you're going to see a new category here. This is a less than 50% of your money is being used for flex cash. So let me reiterate here. Maybe your percentages look like this, but you're like, I'm not comfortable. Why is this called a comfort pie? I'm not comfortable here, but it may be because all of this flex cash here is being put towards debt. My point here in this pie is that you're making enough money each month to be comfortable. This is a hang up for so many people, and it can be changed. Visit with me if you'd like to see this change, but this is my point is, if you have any percentage in there that is not being used towards tithe, housing, insurance, bills, food, transportation, excuse me, then you have flexibility in here. It's just what you're choosing to do with it. When I'm talking about this flex cash, it can be used for several different things. Maybe it's extra giving. Maybe you're paying it towards debt. Maybe you are going to eat out at restaurants. Maybe it's a vacation or retirement or a college fund. Maybe you're saving for a vehicle or appliances or furniture or Christmas. Maybe you're starting a side hustle with it. I don't know. This flex cash here, my point is here that there may be a portion of your pie that is being used for something other than living, but it's less than 50%. So this kind of helps you. The reason I'm talking about this is because a lot of people, I'll talk about that here in just a second. We'll talk about the last pie here, the excess pie. Basically everything but the tithe, again, has decreased, and then your flex cash has reached over 50%. That means that you're making more money. What you're choosing to do with it it's flexible, and that is up to you, and through prayer and with your spouse, deciding what you're going to do with it. You will see this does not take into account, like if you are making more money and then you go and buy a bigger house, then your housing percentage would obviously, it wouldn't be going down because you have increased your standard of living. That doesn't account for this. So ideally, like in a very ideal fantasy world, you would move up this. When you are young, you'd be at the basic pie. And then as you progress through life, then you would move up to the comfort pie and the excess pie. That isn't always how it works. I will say that 2-3 years ago, we were in the excess pie. We had excess. Now all of that money was being put towards debt, with exception to a little bit of eating out and stuff, but we didn't have a whole lot of wiggle room because we were paying all of it towards past decisions. And but now we go between each month is a little different. We go between basic and comfort. We don't have a whole lot of flexibility there, but so we've gone down this ladder a little bit, and that's okay. There's going to be different seasons in your life when this does happen, or can happen. It doesn't always necessarily, but just knowing that there is some difference there is what's important. Okay, so you may move from these in an ideal world. You may move through these basic to comfort to excess, and if you do, that's great. But if not, that's okay. Here's your permission to know that that's okay. And that's why in those comfort and excess months, if you have that extra in that flex cash, that you put it towards, okay, I could go down to the basic pie at some point in time here. And if that's a possibility, then putting a portion of that flex cash into a savings so that you are okay in those situations. Okay, so that was kind of some nuts and bolts. What I want to talk about here, okay, so how do I actually put all this into practice? How do I actually do a budget? Okay, so how are we going to do this? First, you got to lay the groundwork. Many experts don't talk about this part because it's not just dollars and cents. Most money experts, they're scared of things that aren't like mathematical, that it's not adding and subtracting and moving, and it's the numbers. This is important though. And if you have tried to do the rest of these things and you haven't laid the groundwork and you're struggling, then you need to go back to step one and lay that groundwork. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. The second step is to pick a tool. Pick a tool and a time frame and use it. When we came back here, let me see if I can go back. Back here when we were talking about the types of budgets, this is what I'm talking about when I say pick a tool. Pick one of these. Avoid analysis paralysis. Just pick one, pick a time frame, try it for 2 to 3 months. And if it doesn't work, you're gonna change it. You are going to change these tools. It's not the tools that are going to actually help you budget. I mean, they assist you in budgeting, but they're not going to make a budget work for you. You actually have to put in that time. So pick a tool, or a combination of tools and a time frame, and do it. Try it for 2 to 3 months. Try it and see if it's working. The third step here is to have a financial familiarization. So the first budget you do, it's going to suck. It's going to. There you go. It's okay. But you have to learn your starting points. So you're going to take statements, take receipts. You're going to categorize what you spend money on. And that's where those pies are helpful. So you're going to categorize, is this housing? Is this insurance? Is this bills, food, transportation, debt, whatever it is, and get those categories going. This is how you're going to familiarize yourself with your finances. See how they match up to the pies that I was talking about. See how those percentages match up. And going forward, you're gonna list these out. You're going to list, okay, these are all my incomes, or my one income, whatever it is. This is the income for this time frame, this time period. And these are my expected expenses. List these in order of priority. So include in this, if at all possible, you need to include a little line item, at least for fun. Maybe this is eating out. Maybe you're using it to buy a book. Maybe it's, if you only have $10 for you and your husband to have a little fun, or your kids, whatever it is, make it work, make it be in there a little bit. And then also include a line item for some cushion if it's there. Now, the reason I talk about those is because when you go to subtract these, when you subtract your income minus your expected expenses, it needs to be zero. But that's when I say that zero, you have a line item for a cushion. And for everybody, that's going to be different depending on your income, depending on your, maybe you have a variable income. I want to address that because that's been our entire life. It has been more variable now than it used to be. And the numbers were bigger than they used to be when my husband was in the oil field. And we didn't really know what our income was going to be, but we always knew it was going to be like at this number or higher. And so what we did is we budgeted off of that lowest number. I would do a budget for that. And if there was anything in excess, I had a list over here of things that it was going to go to. The whole time we were there, it was paying off debt. And then after we paid off all of our debt, it went to starting a business. And so when that excess came in, I put it towards a savings for that business. So that's how you address variable income. Now, like I said, ours is a very faith-based, spiritual-based budget. And so it may be zero. There's months that there's nothing coming in. And that has definitely been interesting. If that is your case, we can talk more about it. But I just wanted to address that here. Every dollar should be accounted for. You need to give every dollar a job. And that's what a budget is. So that's the fourth step. And then the fifth step in here is meet back up at that designated time to track and see what's going on. Make adjustments as you need to. Each month is going to be a little different. Maybe there's a birthday party this month. Maybe there's 3 birthday parties this month. Maybe there's none. Maybe our electricity is going to be higher this month because it's really cold or it's really hot. And so we need to make adjustments on what we expect our electricity bill to be. Maybe, same thing with natural gas. Maybe, I'm trying to think of another example. You need tires this month. Maybe you're going to have your oil changed. Just going back and thinking about, okay, what adjustments do I need to make for this month ahead? You're not going to have everything right. And that's why that cushion is there. That's why that line item for cushion is there. And that will help you alleviate some of those. So that's how you actually do it. When I was talking about the laying that groundwork, if you have tried things, if you're going through this video and you're like, I've tried this and it's not working. It's not working. It hasn't been working. I've tried all the things. And I'm going to tell you the problem is because you didn't do that work on the back end. That's step one. And this is This is why I am building a group course, The Fruitful Family, because we're going to address these things. So these are 3 of the areas that we address. The emotional side of money, what our finances are telling us about ourselves, and what to actually do about it. This transformation, it grows from the inside out. And if you're just trying to do this budget and make everything work and it's not working, it's because there's something here missing. We haven't figured out exactly what this emotional side of this finances are, whether for yourself or for your husband, whoever it is. We also deal with the relational aspect. So healthy financial communications with your husband. If this is something that you aren't doing, if you're trying to budget everything on your own, what you're doing is you're spending all your energy trying to bring him into your own goals. And it is exhausting. Trying to do finances and be intentional with your finances it can already be difficult and trying. But when you're spending all this energy trying to pull him in like a kid going to get shots at the doctor, that's where you're spending your energy. So we have to come back here and get that relationship and that communication going on. Money is a very tough subject between spouses, and I get that. And that's where my heart really lies, is pulling you two together and becoming a financial team. And so that you can go forward, you're both happy with a plan going forward. And that's where I say here, it's personalized. The methods that all the experts teach, they're valid. I'm not going to say they don't work, because they work, but they are not one size fits all. And that's where, through those communication points with your spouse, we'll build a plan that is actually sustainable. And so this is a group coaching program. I also do one-on-one coaching. So if any of these are appealing to you, I'm going to put the link in the comments down here or in the description, and we can go forward with that. So those are the things I really wanted to address. If this was helpful, let me know. Put in the comments what was the most helpful thing about this workshop. And if you have any questions or concerns, or something just isn't working for you, please feel free to contact me and we will discuss it further. Y'all have a wonderful day.